Welcome to today's segment of The Power of Money. I am your host, Michelle Graves, and as always, I'm delighted to be able to come into your homes, your lives, to introduce you to things you may not know in the world of money, and that will equip you with the necessary information to make wise decisions for you and your family. This particular show is especially significant to me because we are now talking about the world of food. We talk about the power of money, but you know what? It doesn't work if you don't have good health. And the food you're eating is not nutritious, and your lives are compromised. So again, as I share with people and have over the years, be wealthy, but first be healthy. So on that note, I am bringing into the studio today, and for the next hour, you are going to learn a lot. And I say this because I have learned a lot about eating, about healthy living, and thanks to the two individuals that are in the studio today. So I am going to move quickly because we've got a lot to cover. But if you are like the majority of Americans today, you're probably suffering from obesity, you're probably suffering from diabetes, type 2, you're probably suffering from high blood pressure, you're probably suffering from gloated and bloated bellies. You're probably wondering, is this what life is all about? And I'm here to tell you that if this sounds like you, or you have people in your family or in your community that you're watching with alarm, these things happen, you do need to know that there is a solution. We have a sense for the problem, but so many of us don't know the solution. So I'm here to bring you some answers, some solutions, and hopefully you'll leave this telecast equipped and empowered to make the necessary changes in your health so that you will live. Because again, wealth without health is a waste of time. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce my two guests today. And again, both of them have a lengthy history as people that are proponents of healthy living and healthy eating. And Rachel Lewis, who is 85 years old.
86 in 1 month.
86 in 1 month.
Yes.
And a vegetarian.
Yes.
And Rich Brown. And you are?
I'm 56.
You're 56, and you've been involved in this industry for how long?
About 8 years.
About 8 years as an educator.
Yeah.
So where do we want to begin? First, I want to thank both of you for the opportunity that was accorded me to come to a seminar that you presented. And while I was a little bit late because of a previous commitment, that seminar radically changed my life and made me order my steps in a very defined way. I want to live. At 60, almost 61, I want to live healthy. I don't want to be running around on a scooter. I do not want that to be my story. I don't want my story to look like cancer.
Yep.
I don't want that to happen, selfishly for me, but even more so for my family members, my children, my parents. And yet we seem to be in an epidemic over here. Who wants to start first?
Well, I'd like to start. You don't have to be sick. And the Clergy Health Council, Rich Brown is the president, I'm the vice president. And we have been presenting and teaching people the most vital information that they will ever have. Now that's a strong statement, but we stand by that. There is nothing more important than your health.
You're right.
And you can have all the degrees, you can have all the money, but if you're not healthy, you cannot really utilize or take advantage of the careers or whatever your goals are in life. So the Clergy Health Council is about 2 years old now. And our mission is to teach people the relationship between their diets and disease. And we know now, the medical literature and the scientific literature for more than 100 years has documented the fact that all of our diseases are related to what we are putting in our mouths.
That is so profound.
Now, the weapons of mass destruction, as indicated by a famous individual, are not in Iraq or Afghanistan or any place in the world. The weapons of mass destruction are on our plates, our knives and forks, because we are killing ourselves and not understanding or realizing that we are doing it with the unhealthy standard American diet.
You want to speak more to that, Rick?
Sure. You know, this show is about money. And the power of money.
Yeah, it is.
And there's no greater example of the power of money to keep things moving in the direction that they're going, even though that's the wrong direction, than what's going on in how Americans eat. And there's experts say that there's over $1 trillion at stake to keep America eating the way they're eating.
$1 trillion.
$1 trillion. And we look at Medicare. You know, 45% of what Medicare spends is on heart disease, and it's very clear now with the science that heart disease is completely caused by what you eat. If you stop eating the animal fats and the oils, heart disease goes away. They've got angiograms to prove that. So it's simple, but there's so much money at stake to keep things moving in the direction that they're moving that it's very difficult for things to change. And so the only way it's going to change is at the grassroots level.
I couldn't agree with you more. I just in preparation for this show today, and you need to know I kept all my notes from the seminar that I went to, and again, it radicalized me completely. But I watched all of the marketing mantras last night. I flipped from channel to channel, and there is a major marketing machine operative to make you covet things that kill you.
Yes.
I went from station to station, and I saw eating a certain hamburger associated with being able to play pool better, to shoot pool better, and she looked fabulous, and she was slinking around, and he was looking, and I was like, oh my God. So you're gonna learn how to attract men, you're gonna learn how to hit a pool ball by eating this particular hamburger.
Wow.
And then I flipped to another channel. I mean, it was just a constant inundation of this message of die. Eat this, and boy, oh boy, will your world change. And I was like, not the way you think it is.
Right, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, our diets are, we've been programmed. The advertisement is so intense, as you pointed out, that it's very difficult for the average person to plan a healthy diet. So what we are teaching is that since the medical community knows better, but there's no money in preventing disease, but there's enormous profits in treating disease. We've known for more than a century that eating animals and dairy products cause heart disease, cause cancer, and all of the diabetes, high cholesterol, high blood pressure, Alzheimer's, all of these diseases are caused by eating animals and dairy products. And sugar is one of our addictions. We'll talk about that a little. But when people understand, it's our mission to help you understand that if you want to change your life, you have to be willing to make a choice. And the information we give will help you to make a choice. And we say, make a choice not to have heart disease. Make a choice not to have a stroke. Make a choice not to be diabetic. Make a choice not to have high blood pressure or high cholesterol. Make a choice not to have Alzheimer's or be demented. You can make a choice not to be in a nursing home. And as you say, not to be on a scooter. You have the opportunity, once you get this information, to make a choice. And you say, I can really make that choice? Yes, we as each individual can make a choice not to be sick. Because when we learn that every morsel of food that we put into our mouths becomes blood, then becomes cells, then becomes tissue, we then begin to understand that we are what we eat. And if we're eating foods that cause us to be sick, we can change that and eat the healthy foods that make us well. Because it's our wonderful, miraculous immune system that each of us, everyone has it. When we eat the right foods, the healthy plant-based foods, we boost our immune system, and our immune system keeps us well, and that's the key.
And what would you have to say alongside that?
I want to go back and just talk about what motivates me.
Okay,
You know,
I'm listening.
In the form of human behavior, there's three things that motivate people. The avoidance of pain, the conservation of energy, and to reproduce. Those are the three things that motivate people. For me, it's the avoidance of pain. In 1995, I had a very close friend of mine contract colon cancer and pass away within a year and a half. And that hurt.
That's
and he was just like me, doing the same things I was doing. And I looked at that and I thought, you know, that same thing could happen to me. I'm having such a great life, I'm enjoying life, and then all of a sudden you're gone. And so that hit me really hard, and it set me on this path to find out what I could do to prevent that same thing from happening to me, and why did that happen to him. And I started studying as much as I could find, and the internet was a great help, reading books. And it took me quite a while. It took me until 2004 to really figure it out. I really didn't come across it. I could have. It was out there. But I found that it was eating the meat and dairy. You know, the animal products in the diet is a huge indicator of your risk for cancer. And there's a very famous study that was done with China, called the China Study. It's a book that documented exactly that. The more
from
animal
a doctor,
products,
a physician.
yes, exactly, a medical researcher from Cornell University, Colin Campbell. And he found that the more animal products in your diet, the more cancer, heart disease, diabetes, stroke, all the big just went straight up like a linear graph, the more animal products that were in the diet. And they had a perfect group of people to study that, because the Chinese were all the same nationality, the same genes, so to speak. And a lot of them eat plant-based diets, and a lot of them are starting to eat like us. And so they had a perfect sampling of people that to do this study, and there was over 200,000 people that they studied. So that really nailed it for me right there. When I read that book, that was, you know,
it's a phenomenal book, by the way.
It is. It's very good.
Seminal book.
So that set me on the path, and right away I decided I'm giving up meat and dairy, and I did it. Made a New Year's resolution. That's what I was going to do. Didn't know anybody else that was doing it. Didn't know how to do it.
Didn't know how to do it.
I just stopped. Just stopped eating it.
Yeah.
And it was easy. I just made more side dishes. You know, when you make meat, you make a vegetable and a potato.
More
so I just just made a vegetable and a potato and 2 vegetables. You know, and a salad.
Okay.
So it was pretty easy at first, and then I got into more of the more creative foods, and it's been an evolution for me. You know, to be healthier and healthier. You know.
Did you go through any kind of withdrawal?
No.
From meat?
No.
None of that?
I was just so had it in my mind that I was going to do this that I didn't miss it. And, you know.
Well, one of the things that we find is that most people are addicted to unhealthy foods, and they don't realize that it's an addiction. They think it's normal because they've been eating it all their lives. And one doctor, Dr. Milton Mills, he's an African-American doctor who is board certified from Stanford University. He says we have to stop thinking about food in a romantic sense. You know, we like my mother's apple pie, my grandmother's chocolate cake. He said when we think of food, we should think of food for what it really is. Food are chemicals, elements. And we should ask, what is this and how is it going to affect my body? You know, when we look at this donut or this hamburger, we should say, now what is this and how is it going to affect my body? And when we start looking at food for what it really is and not in a romantic sense, we begin to improve our health because we realize that everything we put into our mouth is affecting our health and well-being. And one of the things that we started with, the Clergy Health Council, is this DVD
Oh,
by
I got
Mike
this.
Anderson.
I bought this. Eating.
Yeah.
Can we have the cameras on this particular?
That DVD gives you all of the vital information.
This is a good DVD.
Yeah, on how eating animals affects our health and the reason why we have epidemics. For example, last year it was predicted that in 2012 we would have a 50% increase in cancer diagnosis and a 50% increase in the deaths from cancer. So we know that something is wrong when we're steadily increasing in these dreadful diseases.
And people are dying.
Right, and we have an increase. Diabetes, type 2 diabetes is at epidemic proportions. And they're predicting that Alzheimer's will be at epidemic proportions very soon. And by 2030, half of the people in the United States will be overweight or obese or grossly obese. And we have all this information, and we have people saying we're working to stop childhood obesity. We're working to get people to lose weight. It isn't about losing weight, really. It's about getting healthy. When we stop doing the things that are causing the problem goes away. For example, we know that in 7 to 10 days, anyone who has type 2 diabetes can get rid of it.
That is so profound.
By changing their diet, stop eating the things that's causing the problem, and it goes away. In other words, stop eating meat and animal products and start eating a healthy plant-based diet. And you can get your blood sugar under control in 7 to 10 days. That's all it takes.
And what about, but you see, and I find this also very, very interesting because it's kind of like we're at a crossroads.
Yes.
And one of the things I find most disturbing is that to tell a person who is obese and overweight that they are, quote, beautiful and that it's okay, I find to be deeply offensive.
Disturbing.
And disturbing because it is not okay
No, it isn't.
to be obese, overweight, large, when, unless you're selling insurance, maybe I can sell them some insurance so that they can get buried
the
properly.
insurance companies are
They
going
don't
to
want
rate
them.
them higher
Yeah,
if
they don't
they're
want them.
not
Right.
healthy.
They don't want them either.
Well, it's a very serious problem, Michelle, because if we don't do something about the health crisis in the United States, we're going to bankrupt America. Because Dr. Furman, who is another nationally known doctor, says that 90% of what doctors do would not have to be done if people took care of their health. And we really have a responsibility to take care of our health, not only for ourselves, but for our family, for our country, because at the rate people are going to health care programs, Medicare, Medicaid, we're going to bankrupt the system. So something has to stop. We have to say, look, this isn't working. And the government can't subsidize the meat and dairy industry on one hand, which is making people sick because they're able to buy this unhealthy food cheaper. If the government was not subsidizing it, most people would not be able to kill themselves quicker, prematurely, with the unhealthy diet. So if you're subsidizing the unhealthy food on one hand, and then you've got healthcare system on the other hand, you know, you're creating a problem faster than you can resolve or heal that problem. So as individuals, we have to take responsibility for our own health. And if we do that, we can lower the federal deficit. We can save the health care program, Medicare, and all of that, because we're taking care of ourselves by eating a healthy plant-based diet.
However, as Mr. Brown said so specifically at the opening of this show, $2 trillion is invested.
1 trillion.
Was it 1 trillion or 2? Okay, I wasn't sure. The reality is there is a vested interest
in keeping people on an unhealthy
sick.
diet.
And keeping them.
Pharmaceutical companies are making record profits. You know, the food companies are making record profits. The chemical companies, the fertilizer companies, and all that. The insecticide companies making record profits. So it's
to feed people, because food is the basis of all life. It's on Maslow's hierarchy of needs, food, clothing, shelter. Food is right there. If you don't have food, then what's the point?
You can't survive.
But you know, that's kind of an oxymoron, because sometimes you say, well, this food will make sure that you're not going to survive, or you'll go out of this earth or off this planet sick and debilitated. And that is just very, very offensive to me.
Well, listen, we haven't got the exact figures, but we are estimating by just observation that more than 90% of the foods in most supermarkets are unhealthy foods.
Jeez.
Health damaging foods.
90% estimated.
Of the food. When you walk into the supermarket, most of the food that's sold there is unhealthy. When you leave the produce department,
you're in the zone.
The rest of it is
zone.
Unhealthy. It's processed, refined foods that is damaging your health.
Generally, if it comes from a factory, if it's been modified in any way,
if it's meat
the modification
or dairy,
makes it more unhealthy than it was, you know, to begin with. So
well, I think this all kind of trends back to the 50s when everything began to become mechanized.
It was convenience.
Convenience. The houses all, I mean, FHA was funding houses. They all looked the same, and we all had washers, dryers. Everything was mechanized, and everything.
Sure, the Industrial Revolution and technology, you know, it was the Industrial Revolution.
But now we're into Frankenfoods.
In most cases, it was great. In most cases, it's great for electronics. It was great for you know, automotive and technology like that, and all that.
But you don't eat a car.
But in the food industry, it's the total wrong way to go. And, and there's no doubt in my mind that 100 years from now, the historians will look back at this point in history and they'll call this the meat-eating age, because it's only been the last 100 years that we've been eating meat. And it's not going to be more than another 50 at the most before sustainability issues will demand that the whole world goes vegetarian, because that's the only way we can survive.
Well, I'm not upset about that move, and frankly,
but you know, that's how they're going to, historians will look back on this period. What were they thinking? Look at the carnage. Look at the death. They were spending 20% of the gross national product on health care, and it was, and they were still dying at record numbers.
Right.
So
I had not
insanity.
to interrupt. I had a rather terse interchange with a doctor a couple of weeks ago who was arguing the merits of taking pharmaceutical drugs. And of course, intuitively, I wondered, how much are they paying you? But we got into a rather terse discussion about the issue of plants versus pills. And I told him, no disrespect to your credentialing as a medical practitioner, because your practice, meaning you practice on humans. I said, but you cannot prove to me that there is a plant out here that we are eating as a part of our diet that's killing us. But we can prove and we can establish by fact that there are millions of drugs in the system today that are killing humans. I said, and he got very angry.
Oh, yeah.
He got very, very angry about that. So
Well,
anyway,
it's money. It's money.
I know it's
Sure.
money. That's why this show is about
If
money.
we could show this. This is Dr. Caldwell Esselstyn.
Yes.
And he's with the Cleveland Clinic.
Yes.
And that book that's pictured there,
Prevent
Prevent and
Reverse Heart
Disease.
Disease by Caldwell B. Esselstyn Jr., MD.
Yes, and he's a nationally known physician. He reversed heart disease with diet alone.
For himself or with his
At the Cleveland Clinic.
Oh
he
my
did this.
goodness.
Yes.
Okay.
And
Very prestigious
this book,
facility.
Yes, he outlines and documents how he was able to do this, and he's conducted the largest study ever with diet and reversing heart disease. And there are several doctors, not enough of them, who are doing this, because the money is in treating disease, as you just pointed out. But as Rich just brought up the sustainability of it, we're not going to be able to sustain trying to feed the world animal products, because it's contributing to global warming. We've seen these record heat that we've had recently. The ice caps are melting, and we're in a dangerous situation here on planet Earth if we don't change the way we're feeding human beings. We can't continue to feed billions of people animal products, which are killing them and destroying the planet at the same time. We are having water shortages. And this is because the animals use 60, 100 gallons more water than a human does. It takes that much more water. It may even be more than that.
30,000 gallons for 1 pound of beef.
30,000 gallons of water
1 pound of beef.
for 1 pound
That's
of
the
beef.
statistics, yeah.
And look at the grain. Even in poor countries, they sell their grain to feed animals, and their people are starving. Now, we don't want that kind of injustice going on in our world.
I absolutely, you've just hit on something that I did not know, this thing about water consumption with animals, but it certainly makes sense.
It's a very inefficient system.
It's a very inefficient system to make sure that they get enough water.
So we can sell meat
Well, it's not just
all
the animal
over the
drinking, but
world.
it's the water that takes to water the grazing land and all that kind of stuff. But it's cutting down of the rainforest to make room for the grazing land. So it's
And that is a contributor to the
global
warming.
the worst thing is that 75% of what we grow in this country is grown to feed the animals.
Really?
Cows are the biggest predator of ocean fish. More ocean fish is consumed by cows than any other
Than
species.
humans?
Yeah, they grind it up. It's a fish meal that
they
they
use to
feed
fatten the
to-
cows up. So it's a crazy system. It's not sustainable.
How may I just try to understand historically, because incidentally, viewers, the 2 DVDs I have in my hands, one on healing cancer and one on eating, these are mandatory. If you want to really, there is a cure for cancer.
Yes.
And doctors know this. But of course, they got cancer too because they eat improperly. They're not understanding nutrition. But these two, where can you get these? I got mine in Cincinnati at the vegan place.
We sell them, but they can go online and get them.
RaveDiet.com.
Rave Diet.
Rave
R-A-V-E,
Diet. Let
yeah.
me see here. Is it this one?
Yeah.
Okay. This is Rave Diet and Lifestyle by Mike Anderson. So you can get these DVDs through his venue,
He's
or
the
through
producer. Yep.
or through your organization.
We sell them at the Loving Hut in Cincinnati.
Right, that's
They
where I
sell 'em
bought
there,
mine
yeah.
at the Loving Hut. Fascinating store, by the way,
Oh,
for
yeah.
vegans. I love that place.
Yep, it's the only vegan restaurant, all vegan restaurant in Cincinnati.
I just find it to
There's
be.
more popping up.
Yeah, I was
there's
just
a little bit of a trend
encouraged.
going
I'm
on
not
right now, which
I'm
is
not
good.
quote vegan, but I tell you the food was so good,
Yep.
and I bought these two DVDs and then I watched them, and again,
they are magnificent.
they are magnificent.
Oh yes.
I want to talk a little more about cancer.
Okay, let's talk about cancer.
Looking at the big picture, if you go back and look at the big picture of all the animals on the earth,
Yes.
there's only 3 species that are having cancer epidemics.
Okay.
Humans, dogs, and cats.
Humans, dogs, and cats.
Dogs and cats. You know,
Are the
and
only
everybody that has pets have known friends or family that have had a pet that has cancer. And the reason is there's only 3 species on this earth that consume cooked foods, processed foods. Humans, dogs, and cats. Every other animal on the earth is eating their raw, live food that nature intended.
My goodness.
So if you look at that, that tends to start to explain why our body chemistry is wrong, why our bodies are in a toxic state that allows cancer to thrive.
Is it the acidity? Can we talk about that?
Yes,
I've got a whole lesson plan on acidity.
On acidity? Yeah.
And I want to just touch base on cancer real quick, though.
Okay.
The reason cancer is thriving in these days is people's immune system is suppressed, and they don't realize it. But if you get a cold on a regular basis, if you're sick 2 or 3 times a year, it means your immune system's not working as well as it should be. Because Rachel and I, we don't get sick. The bug goes around.
That's amazing.
It doesn't happen, you know. At the worst possible thing, you might feel a little sore throat or a little tickle, like you might have picked something up, but the immune system kicks it right down. You never even get the symptoms. So that's how your immune system should work. And a lot of these diseases are to do with the fact that the immune system is not working the way it should be. And the 2 big things that suppress the immune system are sugar and dairy products. Now, they don't tell you that. They want you to think dairy products are great for your immune system and your digestion and all that kind of stuff. They do. So that's the thing we've got going on right now, is that when your immune system is so suppressed, and sugar is the big one, it just turns the immune system off. Drink a soda pop, it's off for 6 hours.
Jeez.
And
1 can
but if
of
you're drinking it
soda
every day,
pop,
it's every day, your
6
immune system
hours.
is completely suppressed,
Suppresses
and it
your
can't fight
immune
the things that it should be fighting. And cancer is one of those things.
So it seems to be, and I don't want to be fanatical here, but it seems to me that if sugar and all of these refined products are creating this epidemic, that there should be, the federal response should be at least a tax. If they can't stop agribusiness from doing this, and they can't intervene on the health care, at least they should be willing to put a tax.
Right. That's
Meaning
one
if
of the
you
possible
buy
answers.
this, you get a tax.
Sure.
Like cigarettes. I
Well,
mean, nobody
Exactly.
says you can't
Michael,
smoke them, but
what's his name? The mayor of New York.
Bloomberg.
Bloomberg.
Yes, he's wants to put a tax on these large sodas to
Good.
try and cut back on the consumption. But what we're advocating is that if you change your diet to a healthy plant-based diet, you change your taste buds. You don't want the sweets. And we know that sugars in refined sugars in so many things.
Or
and
even
where-
worse, that high
right.
fructose.
High fructose
Right.
corn syrup.
That
yes.
corn stuff.
Right.
It's all bad. Yeah.
And no matter where you go and they're having refreshments, it's sugar.
Yep.
And on April the 1st, if you recall, 60 Minutes did a program on sugar and the toxicity that sugar is a poison.
It definitely is.
And that we should treat it like alcohol and tobacco.
Regulate it,
because
yeah.
it's killing people. And we're told, you know, to eat sugar for energy, but it's killing us. And I just wanted to point out these 2 things. This is Dr. Lorraine Day. She's
this.
a, this Dr. Day had cancer, and she healed herself
Wow.
of terminal breast cancer by changing her diet. She was head of the she was an orthopedic surgeon at San Francisco, I believe, General Hospital. And this DVD is Cancer Doesn't Scare Me Anymore, because when she realized that she could heal herself, she refused the treatment that she had been taught herself in medical school, because she realized that she would never get well if she used that. And she has several DVDs and books out. And one of them is that diseases just don't happen. We give them to ourselves by our unhealthy diet. So our mission is to teach people that they can make a choice, as I said in the beginning, not to be sick. And he said, well, how can I change my diet? I've been eating this way for 50 years. I've been eating this way for 40 years. But you have to ask yourself, am I worth it? Am I worth living a healthy, long life? You know, we don't want to be in a nursing home or in a wheelchair. We want to be able to live our lives in health and well-being, and we can do that by changing our diet. And we can save the planet and save our country at the same time, you know. So Dr. Day is certainly a hero, because as a medical doctor, she proved that we can heal ourselves by changing our diet, as well as Dr. Esselstyn and healing heart disease.
Well, you have to give them kudos as medical doctors, because they are going against the
establishment,
their profession. Most doctors are not skilled in nutrition at all.
Right.
That's not what they learn in medical school.
That's
which
correct.
is how the human body functions, the chemistry of the body. They don't learn those things.
The medical
Scientists,
schools are controlled by the pharmaceutical companies.
I have to
That's
remember
the problem.
that. Medical schools are controlled by the pharmaceutical.
Because they give them big grants, and then they hold back. You know, you're going to teach the doctors that you can heal with nutrition? No. You know, that's not going to happen.
Exactly.
It goes against their whole business model.
So I just think that what he has done at Cleveland Clinic is profound. What she has done as a doctor as well, in terms of her own story of breast cancer, is profound, and people need to know this information, which is why I said I had to have you on. I cannot talk about wealth if
without
people
health.
are not healthy. That's ridiculous. I mean, it just is. And it took me, you know, my journey right now is I have, and I talked about it on Facebook, but I'm no longer wearing acrylic nails.
No.
I'm done. And my nephew, during holiday, he said, oh my God, look at your nails. And I said, well, that's what happens when you put a chemical solvent on human tissue. It gets real
Kills it, yeah,
nasty
it's
looking.
right.
And so a lot of women, though, have said to me, but you know, I like the look. And I tell them, well, vanity will kill you.
Yes.
Vanity.
You'll look good in the coffin.
Well, only reason I say that is because I was reading about in the 20s and earlier, poor people, working people couldn't afford meat.
Right.
So, and the people that were sickly were the rich people.
Right.
Because they ate the meat.
That's how it started, right?
Really, they ate the meat, and they were sick. The working people, poor people, ate beans and legumes and veggies, and they lived long, healthy lives.
It was a great study that during World War II, I believe it was in Norway,
Yes.
the Germans came in and took all the livestock for
Oh
their
my
troops.
goodness, they took.
And so, you know, so there was no meat. You know,
Okay,
they
for
were
the
eating meat,
Norwegian.
and they had all the heart disease and everything that went with it, you know, before that. And the Germans came in and took all of the livestock for themselves. And so for the whole course of the war, they lived on a plant-based diet, and all the diseases went away.
That is so
And then
amazing.
when the war was over,
You know.
they rebuilt their livestock groups, and
started
all the
dying
diseases
off.
came back
Dying
again.
Is there, is it, I was listening, is it the sodium nitrites that are in the meat and the preservatives that have caused people to become addicts?
That's
Because
strongly
salt
linked
is
to colon
highly
cancer.
addictive.
Right, salt
Yeah.
is an addictive
Salt
substance.
and sugar.
Right.
But
Fats, just meat fats, or
Are
Yeah.
they addictive as well?
well, you got French fries. Look at potato chips, how addicting they are. It's the
I
salty,
will not touch 'em.
greasy,
No.
salty fats are very addicting.
Right.
Chocolate's addicting. Sugar is probably one of the most addictive things. Gives you that high, but then you crash.
Okay.
I can remember as a young, in my 20s, working at this company, and I go out for a fast food lunch, have my
Yeah.
pop with the lunch,
Yeah.
get that high. Then by 2 o'clock, I was crashing again. I needed something. I just felt like I was going to die if I didn't have something. To the pop machine, got a Pepsi. Came back,
Drank it.
drank that. By 3:30, I'm crashing again. Went to this machine, got a candy bar. And it was this sugar high and low, sugar high and low. And your big body becomes a sugar burner, not a fat burner. And that just wreaks havoc with your metabolism. You have no energy, you're dead, you're tired, you have to nap, you can't stay up at night.
Well, I'd
It's a whole
certainly
vicious circle.
we need to put a war on soda pops.
oh,
Yeah.
definitely.
I mean, the polypropylene glycol, the horrifying
Yeah.
ingredients and chemicals they dump into that.
That may be a good segue
Okay.
into my, I'm going to share a little lesson plan with you
Okay,
here
I'm listening.
that we do in our class. And we call it crossing the line.
Okay.
And the line that we're going to cross, this is going to get a little scientific on you.
Okay.
But that's kind of my thing. I'm a scientist or
Okay,
an
well,
engineer.
that's
an
fine.
engineer
That's
type.
fine.
The line that we're going to cross is the pH line. And in chemistry, as you know as a biological person, things are measured, the pH of them is measured, which is the potential of hydrogen,
Right.
on a scale of 0 to 14. 0 being very acidic, 14 being very alkaline. And drinking water, pure water, is in the center,
Right.
perfect balance
Right.
of pH. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. In the world, we have things like battery acid is over here, vinegar, and most of the foods that are unhealthy are on the acidic side.
And those are the milk,
Right,
cheese, white
cheese,
bread,
yep.
white rolls, refined
Grains, yep, meat, all meat is definitely acidic. And soda pop is the most acidic thing you can put in your body. 2.7 on the
Really?
scale.
My gosh.
Phosphoric acid.
Yes,
That's part
yes,
of what's
yes,
in soda
yes,
pop.
yes.
The interesting thing about this is right here, this is where your blood is. It's slightly on the alkaline side, 7.35 to 7.45. Has to be there in that tight range or you're going to die. Your body
Okay.
cannot function if it's not within that narrow range. But if you're constantly eating acidic foods, the body has a very difficult time keeping that blood slightly on the alkaline side.
Right, right.
It wants to be acidic. So primarily, you've got your animal foods are on this side. There's some very few exceptions. Plant-based foods are on this side. So what you want to do is cross the line to more alkaline foods. Watermelon is one of the most alkaline foods there
I
is.
love watermelon.
So
Yeah.
eat more watermelon. It's a
Oh,
great
honey,
thing.
really,
It helps.
I love watermelon.
But you can't eat a lot of this and a little bit more of this and expect it to make that much of a difference. You want to eat everything on this side.
Okay.
Here's a real good visual representation of what that looks like. Processed food, the more they process food, the more acidic it becomes. Pork is the most acidic meat. Scallops are the most acidic of the seafoods. Your green leafy vegetables are very alkaline. It has a lot to do with minerals, the good minerals that are in it.
Right.
And so if you know that watermelon has lots of minerals in it, green leafy vegetables, lots of minerals. It's the minerals that your body needs to
Right.
function. Interestingly enough, the pancreas is the most alkaline part of the body, 8.2 on the scale.
Really?
And what happens is the body has some people, and doctors will tell you, oh, the body has an amazing ability to buffer itself. This doesn't make any difference at all. Because it goes against their whole allopathic thought of medicine. Back in the early 1900s, there were the people that thought about this, that knew this, and the guy got a Nobel Peace Prize for realizing this. And the allopathic medicine guys were the guys that heal it with poisons, which are acidic, pills and poisons. Treat the symptoms, not the
Cure.
underlying condition of the body that sets up the perfect host for a disease.
Right.
And so that's kind of how it all got started. So the allopathic medicine guys right now, they don't like this because it goes against the basis of what their whole medical community is founded on.
Oh, I
really
understand.
the wrong concept.
Can I interject something here? There are many diseases now, especially the heart and cholesterol, where doctors tell patients not to eat green leafy vegetables because the drugs that they're giving them
Oh my goodness.
are counteracted by healthy green leafy vegetables. I just wanted to interject.
So they tell them because of
certain
the
drugs, they say something about vitamin K. It's one of the blood pressure drugs. Don't eat green leafy vegetables are the most healthiest thing you can eat.
Oh, I love
On
the
the
kale.
diet.
From
And
your
experts-
smoothies,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
love the kale.
Yeah.
That is such a, that's a...
Green leafies are the most nutritious food on the planet Earth.
Yeah.
Greens.
Yeah,
My
you can eat-
grandparents had it right.
They did.
Greens, greens.
You can eat
green.
40 meals of meat and bread and cheese, and the nutritional value of that, 40 meals, it would take 40 meals of that kind of food to equal 1 meal of green leafy vegetables from
Really?
a nutritional standpoint.
So why is it that, and I just had this discussion with an individual that said, you do
Animals on Earth, I mean, rip trees out of the ground with
Yes,
one hand.
yes.
You've seen it on the Nature Channel.
and he's
They
a
eat
vegetarian.
green leafy vegetables, berries, fruits. That's it. Where do they get their protein?
Right.
The animals are strong. Look how athletic animals are.
Yes,
A gazelle.
yes, yes,
It eats
yes.
grass all day.
Yes.
Unfortunately, our government guidelines are on this side of the thing. 3 out of the 5 things on that plate are acidic foods that set up the condition to make the body have to work. Now, what the body does to keep that blood in the narrow range it has to
Yes.
be in, the body does several things. It can do several things to buffer. One of the things is take calcium out of your bones.
Oh
Here's your
my
osteoporosis.
goodness, osteoporosis.
Yes.
Right, exactly. The acidity of the
So
body, the acidity
they
of the
will
diet.
strip. It'll start literally pulling
Right.
its
Well,
own.
it doesn't matter how much calcium you eat. Doesn't matter if you're drinking milk every day. That calcium just goes right through you. The body takes it out of the bones.
Oh
And that's
my
why
goodness.
you have
So
that's one of the
humping.
causes of. It's not the only cause. It's
Yeah.
one of the causes.
Okay.
The
This
other
is
thing
so
it does.
good. I'm so grateful you all are on.
The other thing, one of the other ways that the body has, I talked about the pancreas. The pancreas is the most alkaline part of the body. It's full of minerals. It has the most alkaline fluids. The body takes those substances from the pancreas to counteract the acidity in the blood.
Pancreatic
Now,
cancer.
messes up. The pancreas, the enzymes the pancreas produces are key to fighting cancer.
Right.
One of the things that it does. Pancreas also produces insulin. So if your pancreas isn't working right, number one, if your pancreas is really bad, you're not going to be able to fight cancer even if your immune system's good. But it also affects diabetes. If your pancreas can be being attacked by the body because it doesn't have the things it needs to work properly. So your pancreas is key to health, and you're not doing your pancreas any favors if you're eating a lot of acidic foods, because the body's then taking all that stuff that the pancreas needs to function away from it to counteract the acidity.
Wow.
It's-
This is so good.
So this is kind of how we like to eat. A base of your diet, green leafy vegetables. Every day, eat 4 or 5 different kinds of green leafy vegetables. Rachel, the best way to do that, put them in a smoothie. Throw some
I
fruit in a
love
blender.
her smoothies.
Yeah.
I
She
was
makes the
talking
best
about her smoothies to a naturopathic doctor yesterday.
Yeah.
And she said, well, I make smoothies. She said, I hate it. I said, I don't do that anymore. I buy them from Rachel.
It's the easiest way to get
Yeah.
greens. It really is. I mean, most people don't want to eat salads 3 meals a day.
Yeah.
Or wouldn't even think about eating greens for breakfast. But when you put it in with a fruit smoothie and throw some greens in there with it,
Delicious.
oh, it's wonderful.
It's
Yep.
absolutely.
Yep.
And that kind of sets you off coming off of your fast, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, for the day. Okay, this is good.
If
this
you
is
eat, excuse me, if you drink green leafy smoothies, get your vegetables like that, it breaks these addictions that we have for sugar and meat and so forth, because a lot of people say, well, I just can't change over like that. But if you start by using the green smoothies, that helps to change your taste buds so that you enjoy eating healthy food rather than the unhealthy foods.
Well, question I have, Rachel, about those phenomenal smoothies that I've become an addict, because it did break my sugar addiction.
Yes.
It did. It eliminated. But how is it that the drink is sweet? What's in
Well,
it that
it's
makes
fruit.
It's the fruit.
The fruit is the dominant flavor there, and you get your sweetness from the fruit.
Oh, because it's a delicious drink.
Yeah.
It is. Okay.
Yep. So, in general, you've got pills and surgery, doctors and hospitals. If you're on this side of the line,
Okay.
you got to cross the line and start eating healthy foods.
Exercise.
It's the proper fuel for the body. There's no doubt
Okay.
about it. You look at every wild animal and how they eat, especially in the ape family. Look at what gorillas eat. That's kind of how we should eat. That's how we would eat if we were in the wild, and that's really how you function best. Of course, exercise is part of it. You want to get that oxygen going.
Right. Can it be, when you talk about exercise, one of the things you're pushing is a regimented. Can you exercise by, like I'm a gardener, and I do plants, and it's a lot of work, digging and all that. Is that considered legitimate exercise?
It's better than sitting on the couch, but
Oh, yeah.
But
the studies that
you
they've
have
done.
to exercise in a concentrated way.
Right.
Okay.
You need
You do
aerobics.
have to
you
do
need,
that.
you need to get the heart pumping, and that's
Okay.
what opens up the capillaries. When your body sees that need for the heart to pump, which is
Okay.
just could be walking fast to start with.
Okay.
Then the capillaries open up, and the blood gets, everything gets opened up, because you're creating more heat, and so your pores open up. Everything opens up. You get circulation to the skin. Just everything works better. You circulate that blood a lot faster and better,
Okay.
higher pressure with the heart pumping.
Can I interject here again? If you have type 2 diabetes, you have to exercise every day. Like walking, jogging, running is a must. Because while you're exercising, the muscles produce additional insulin that normalizes your blood sugar. So exercise is very vital for everyone, and especially people who have diabetes.
That's powerful. We have my programming guy says we've got 6 minutes left.
Okay.
Let's get to some key points. And
Sounds good.
also, I guess before getting to key points, when, where, how can people get involved in your seminars to learn? When's your next seminar? What are you doing?
Well, at the moment, we don't have one planned because during the summer, vacations sort of get in the way of programs like ours. And we do them mostly at churches and public, like rec centers and so forth. And because of the vacation season, we try to start them in the fall. We had one in June, the one and we don't have another one scheduled until late August, and that hasn't been actually confirmed yet.
Well,
But
I'm going to
usually
say this. I want to sponsor one of your
Great.
program.
Absolutely,
Okay. Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And I have enough Facebook, LinkedIn, television, radio fans that I need to compel them to come.
Yes. Well, I think most people want to be healthy,
I think they do.
but they don't know that they don't know these things. So that's our mission, is to teach people how they can take control of their health by changing their diet, and they will enjoy the food. The food is simply delicious, and when you think about what you're doing for your body,
Right.
you know, look at me. I'm 86 years old. I weigh exactly what I weighed when I was 25. So it's a
Profound.
myth. It's a myth to say to people, you get a middle-aged spread. No, you're unhealthy. You're eating an unhealthy diet. That's why you're gaining weight. You know, if you're eating a healthy plant-based diet, your weight will normalize. You won't have to count calories. If you're obese or overweight, just start eating a healthy diet, and the weight melts off.
That
it
is
comes
so
right off,
amazing.
you know. And if you have some health issue, eat a healthy plant-based diet and you can reverse most of these diseases. Let me just read a few of these stats. These are some disturbing statistics. It says 1 in 4 African American women over the age of 55 has diabetes. The percent of black women 20 years and over who are obese is 51%. In the United States of America, we have more overweight and obese people than any other place in the world. So we're not doing something right, and we need to change our diet.
Let's because time is closing on us. I would like for both of you to just say in one sentence your philosophy, and then I'm going to give my viewers a challenge. Let's start with you, Rachel.
Okay. I am passionate about helping people to change their diet. I believe if we give them the correct information, most people will try and change their diets when they know, for example, I don't want to have Alzheimer's. I don't want to have any of these diseases. So that keeps me eating a healthy diet.
And you, sir, Mr. Brown.
I'd just like to make the point is I'm extremely happy with what I eat. I feel like I've just scratched the surface. Like 10% of what's out there, I eat a lot of ethnic foods, you know, Mexican foods, Indian foods. I've gotten into all the spices. You know, it's a whole new world out there of cooking or not cooking, eating more raw foods, which is a challenge. But it's great, and I couldn't be happier with what I eat and how it makes me feel, because I have so much energy all day long.
Oh gosh.
I just 18-hour days are like nothing. I'm not even tired. Get up the next day and do it again.
So wonderful. Well, viewers, what a show, and we've run out of time, and I could talk to them for another 4 hours.
Went by quickly.
Easily, because of the information. But let me give you a challenge. If you are addicted to food, fast foods, pop, soda pop, sugar, coffee, things that you know are killing you, but you are helpless. Let me give you some good news. There is help. You can go to Rachel Lewis and Richard Brown. They're part of the Clergy Council. CLERGYHealthCouncil.com. .org, I'm sorry, CLERGYHealthCouncil.org. I encourage you to go to the website. I encourage you to take notes. I hope you took good notes. Get the information that you need to begin to take the steps to change your life. Being overweight is not funny. Being obese is not funny. Looking sickly is not funny. All the things that are characteristic of a person who is not healthy, that's not funny. Getting old is not funny if you're sick. It is not. So I want to leave you on today's note, a positive note, which is there is an answer. And it does require a little bit of discipline and choice on your part. Do you want to eat to live? I would say to you, I made that decision. I made the decision to completely revamp my life. At 60, going on 61, I was determined and am determined that I've got another 40 good years to go if I work it right. And when I look at Rachel, I'm like, I'm working this one right. So on that note, I wish you all an amazing day, a great day. Continue to tell your friends. You can also check out all of our shows on YouTube, The Power of Money. Michelle Graves, The Power of Money. All of my telecasts are available on YouTube for you to watch and tell your friends to watch. You can also find me on Facebook. But closing out, you have an amazing day, a wonderful day, and a healthy day. I'm Michelle Graves, wishing you only the best. God bless, and you take care.